Hey everyone, my name is Lisa Stokes. I just want to thank you all for joining us today for our virtual series. Believe it or not, we're in our fifth week of our 8-week series, so super excited to keep progressing through this with you. I hope you're enjoying the education and the workouts as much as I am, so look forward to what we have to come this week. As we get started, just want to give you a little background about myself. I've been with WellSpan for about 8 years as a physical therapist assistant in outpatient rehab. I'm also part of the WellSpan Sports Medicine, which is why I'm here with you today. The pandemic that we are experiencing now has challenged us with ways to be more creative on how we can help the community. We have put together a small group of diverse, experienced, and motivated individuals to continue to make a difference, be available, and help those like yourselves. Our goal with this series is to support you as coaches during this pandemic by providing education and resources to help you stay active, take care of your body and mind, and prepare for upcoming seasons and prevent injuries as we begin to do more. So today we have Lauren Murray with us, and she's going to target the topic of active warm-ups and proper cool-downs. To give you a little bit of background about Lauren, she is a physical therapist with WellSpan Rehabilitation, working out of her hometown in Waynesboro, PA. She obtained her Bachelor's of Science in Kinesiology from Penn State and her Doctorate of Physical Therapy from the University of Delaware. She has been a PT for 11 and a half years and has worked for WellSpan all those years. The fact that she has played sports all of her life and has always loved watching and participating in sports is what got her interested in sports medicine. At different times, she tore both ACLs while participating in soccer and went through rehab, which allowed her to return to playing soccer, field hockey, and skiing. She loves working with athletes of all ages and finds it most rewarding when she helps them to return to the sport and activities that they enjoy. Lauren currently enjoys cycling, mountain biking, jogging, skiing, kayaking, and hiking. In high school, she was a dual sport athlete playing soccer and field hockey, and went on to play club field hockey at Penn State. In her spare time, she enjoys playing anything and everything with her 3 boys, an 8-year-old and 5-year-old twins. She also enjoys coaching their soccer and baseball teams along with her husband. Lauren, you certainly have your hands full and have quite a background, so we're super excited to have you here today, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say. Go ahead.
All right, thank you, Lisa. So as Lisa said, my name is Lauren Murray. I'm a physical therapist down in Waynesboro. So I kind of worked with a team here to kind of develop this sort of educational thing for you guys. So Roxanne Gilmore and Kevin Gilmore also worked on this project with me. They just weren't able to be here today because they're in the clinic. I'm going to present kind of the warm up and cool down, why it's important, and then just kind of run through some specifics with you about different programs and exercises and things like that that are beneficial for our athletes. So let me share my screen here with you, and we'll get rolling. Give me just a second. Here. All right. Okay, so, whoops. All right, so basically, again, I'm going to talk to you guys about the warm up and cool down. And we presented this last night or yesterday afternoon to the athletes. So this is just kind of a beefed up version for you coaches. Basically, objectives of this presentation are to kind of give you an understanding of the importance of why we need to warm up and why we need to cool down, and kind of talk about the differences between the static and dynamic warm up, which is kind of a big debate sometimes. But then we're going to describe the warm up itself, give you some examples, and then likewise do the same thing with the cool down. And then at the end, which is just sort of a little add-on for the coaches, We're going to talk about sort of injury prevention and ACL injury prevention, and how the warm-up itself can be used to assist in injury prevention. So warming up, benefits of warming up, it enhances performance. It can increase the blood flow and the oxygen delivery to the muscles, which then in turn gets you or your athletes ready to kind of play. It helps to prevent injuries, as I mentioned before. It increases your heart rate, which again helps you get ready to play or to practice. And then there's also psychological benefits. So it helps the athlete to kind of get in that zone. So leave school behind, leave whatever happened at home behind, and kind of get themselves ready, ready to play and ready to focus completely on the sport. And that it also helps to control anxiety as well. So the warm-up itself, there's kind of four sort of, I guess, definitions that we're going to go through here. So the dynamic warm-up, which I'm sure most of you have heard of, is a series of movement drills that are performed in a progressive and deliberate sequence from low intensity then on to moderate intensity. And then you have dynamic stretching, which is a part of the dynamic warm-up, and it's an active stretch along with some movement. Now, the static stretch is a kind of your traditional type stretching where you're doing a prolonged hold in a certain position to stretch a certain muscle or muscle group. And then lastly, the sport-specific warm-up, again, is part of the whole dynamic warm-up piece. And it's basically low-intensity movements that are going to mimic those that your athletes are going to perform later on. Benefits of your dynamic warm-up, which we already kind of talked about, are increased performance, short-term increases, strength, speed, power, endurance, flexibility, and accuracy. So just performing a dynamic warm-up can actually help the athlete perform better when they go into the competition or to the practice. And the next one is enhanced sport performance, and that's just kind of more longer term, where they could increase power and improve their flexibility and their range of motion. And then the other thing that we've touched on as well is their injury rates. So a lot of studies have shown that athletes who have warmed up prior to the practice or the game can actually have a 79% reduced risk of injury. And that's just in general across the board. So that's not looking at specific sorts or warm-up protocols. There's typically two phases to the warm-up. There's your general phase, which is just a light jog or, you know, a cycling or a brisk walk or something like that, 5 to 10 minutes, just really light, easy, just sort of to get the heart pump and then the blood flowing. And then after that, you get more into your sport-specific dynamic warm-up or dynamic stretching. So there you're going to look at the movements and focus on movements that the athlete will be performing during play. So these are like your butt kicks, your high knees, your Frankensteins, things like that. And we'll talk about them in a little bit. Speaking of dynamic stretches, so these are kind of some typical lower body dynamic stretches that you may have had your athletes do in the past, or maybe some you haven't heard of. So you've got your butt kicks, your high knees, walking lunges. You can add a twist with that, karaoke's Frankenstein, heel toe walks, walking knee to chest, skipping inchworms, hip swings, walking hamstring stretch, and sideways shuffles. I'm not going to go too much into detail about all of these, but they're online if you want to look them up. And then just a few pictures of these. So the one here is going to be your Frankenstein walks, and then here's your hip swings. And you've got your walking lunges, kind of your high knees, and then your inchworms here. They're all different types of exercises and variations. Upper body you can also do dynamic stretching for the upper body, which is super important for your overhead athletes, of course, your baseball players, your swimmers, people like that. You have arm circles, hugs, push-ups, shoulder rolls, jumping jacks, no monies, PNF patterns. And just to describe a few of those, these are kind of your diagonal or your PNF patterns. You got your jumping jacks, your no monies, which is shoulder external rotation, and then just basic arm circles. Now, that's kind of the warm-up piece of the puzzle. So you want to do that obviously prior to practice, prior to a game, a match, a competition, whatever. The other thing to think about too is you also need to do almost like a re-warm up after halftime, or if an athlete's been sitting on the bench subbing for a while, they need to get up and maybe just jog a couple laps, because they need to kind of get that warm up going again so they can get into playing. Now, the cool down itself basically is going to help remove lactic acid. And that's a waste or a byproduct of kind of the muscle activity. It helps to reduce post-exercise muscle soreness, or that delayed onset muscle soreness that most of us have heard of. And then helps the heart rate to slowly return to normal and kind of bring that cardiovascular kind of system back down to normal. That can help with your athletes that may get dizzy, lightheaded, things like that after a lot of activity. Cool down phase, similar to the warm up, you have your light cardio, 5 to 10 minutes of jogging or cycling or just playing at a lower level. And then your static stretching. So here's where we want to do static stretching versus the dynamic stretching. So these are your traditional stretches. 5 to 10 minutes of your lower body and upper body stretches. You want to focus a lot on those muscle groups that were probably used more during the activity that you just performed. And that's where you're going to hold the stretch about 30 seconds and repeat, 2 to 3, 2 to 5 times, whatever, you feel like you need or your athletes need. Again, lower body stretches, static, pretty standard, pretty basic. Most of us and you all as coaches kind of know the basics. So you want to do kind of all muscle groups and target those that, you may need to stretch out the most. And then upper body stretches, again, are listed here. And a lot of these are going to be sport specific and athlete specific as well. Now, this is kind of the other part that I wanted to add for you guys, for you coaches, that's different than what I talked about with the athletes last evening. Basically, the warm-up itself can be used as a method or a program for injury prevention. And it's really important because, we like our jobs and we like working with athletes, but we'd much rather your athletes be out playing than in our clinics kind of rehabbing their injuries. So if you can get them on a good routine or a good regimen right off the bat, that's really, really, really going to help them in the long run. So basically, there's a lot of evidence for the benefits of exercise-based injury prevention programs. And there's a lot of the research has been done on ACL tears and knee injuries. Most of these programs have really no adverse effects, and they really don't cost much of anything, which is why they're easy to implement kind of right away. And again, I just kind of said already that a lot of the programs that are already pre-established can be put into your practices as just part of the basic warm-up that the athletes do every single day. They can go across all age ranges, male, female, different sports. And then the research has shown that injury prevention warm-up programs can actually decrease the risk for ACL injuries by about 50% if they're implemented properly. So general recommendations for a knee injury prevention program, you want to work on proximal control exercises, so kind of your core strength and core control exercises, strength training and plyometrics. From the ACL side, a lot of this has been looked at in females as well. Effective training programs include doing the program multiple times a week. They recommend at least twice a week, about 20 minutes or so for that particular warm-up for the injury prevention side of it. And then the training volumes of more than 30 minutes a week. Who can administer them? Most of the time it's going to be the coach, and then sometimes it will be the therapist can use it as part of their sort of program, but for our purposes, it's going to be the coach. It can be athletes 12 to 25 years of age, according to kind of this research. And then compliance is kind of the biggest issue with that. So some of the specific programs are listed here that have been developed and researched. You got the Harmony, the PEP, which is the Prevent Injury and Enhance Performance. the sports metrics. The one we're going to talk about now is called the FIFA 11 Plus, which was developed more for soccer players initially, but it can be used across a wide range of athletes, and you'll see later how they're using it for actually some baseball players as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about the FIFA 11 Plus. So background on that, it was initially developed in 2006 as a complete warm-up program to prevent injuries in soccer players. There's been lots and lots of studies about this particular program, and most of them support the use of this for injury prevention of knee injuries. This particular program, they did most of the research on people or kids ages 14 and older. They do have a kids program. They call it the FIFA 11 Plus Kids, and that's more for like your younger athletes. Aside from the injury prevention side of things, they also have found through research that there's also positive effects on performance when you perform this program. It can increase your neuromuscular control, which is basically like your balance and how well you jump, you land, all of those kinds of things. And then also helps with lower extremity strength and core strength. So within your warm-up, you're reducing injury and then you're improving performance. When it's performed twice a week, at minimal, it's 30 to 50% reduction in knee injury. So that's pretty substantial. So the 11 Plus program is put into 3 parts or 3 sections. And there's a total of 15 exercises. It takes about 20 minutes to complete once you and the athletes are familiar with the program. So the first part are running exercises. They're performed at a slow speed, and then they're combined with some active stretching or dynamic stretching. Part 2 is more of a strength, plyometrics, and balance section. And then there's 6 sets of exercises, and they focus both on core and leg strength, balance, and plyometrics and agility. And for each of those exercises, there's different levels of difficulty. So as your athletes get better or they're more advanced, you can increase to those kind of more difficult things. And then the third part is back to running, and now you're getting into your more sport-specific warm-up, where you're doing exercises at a moderate to high speed, and you're adding in their planting or cutting activities and movement. Implementing this, again, it's really easy once you understand the program and understand the movements. The coach, so you guys are honestly the most important person in implementation of these injury prevention warm-up programs. Because the kids they're there, they're showing up on the field, they're ready to do what you tell them to do, hopefully, if you got a good team. So that's why it's really, really important for you and us as coaches to start this right away and kind of develop those good habits for the kids. It can be used, honestly, as a daily warm-up prior to practice every single time. On days that you have games or competitions, it's recommended that you only do the first and the third parts. So those are the 2 running parts, so the dynamic stretching and then kind of that sport-specific activity. The middle portion, which is more the strengthening, we recommend you don't do that on the days that you're going to compete. And then again, like I said before, compliance is really the main issue, and you must maintain the compliance. So at least 2 days a week is important for the injury prevention side of it. The other thing with this program is it's not only helping with injury prevention and these certain movements, but you also need to be aware of different things to look for in your athletes in terms of their posture and their landing patterns. So you want to make sure, and the athletes want to make sure that they're maintaining an upright posture. They're not leaning one side to the other side. You want to make sure that their knee is staying forwards and it's not kind of angling or tilting in. And then you want to make sure that their knee doesn't go forward over their toe. And then also soft landing. So any of the jumping activities, you want them to make sure that they're landing soft, which again is helping with that injury prevention. So the next slide is just this is actually taken from the 11 Plus kind of guidebook of what to look for. So you've got your your person up top where she's staying in like good alignment, her legs straight, her knees aren't going over her toes, and her trunk straight up and down. And then the picture on the bottom, you can see where this gal is kind of tilted off to one side, her hips aren't level, her knees going in, and that puts that person at an increased risk for injury. And so when you're doing these things with your athletes, you want to look for stuff like this. And you'll see it. You'll definitely see it if you look for it. So when you're doing these dynamic exercises, dynamic warm-ups, whether you do the FIFA 11 plus or you do your own thing, it's really important not only that the athletes are doing these exercises, but that they're doing them properly and with correct form, because that's honestly very, very important for the injury prevention. Okay, so our take-home points. So basically, most important things to get out of sort of this presentation about the warm-up and the cool-down are that the athletes and your teams need a proper warm-up and a proper cool-down in order to optimize their athletic performance and prevent injuries. Second thing is that injury prevention programs such as the FIFA 11 should and can be used as a structured warm-up program to help reduce the risk of injuries and improve performance. Warm-ups are more dynamic and cool-downs are more static. So when you are doing the warm-ups, you want to incorporate that initial cardio phase where you're just kind of lightly warming up, and then get into the dynamic stretches and the sport-specific stretches or movements. And then the cool-down is where you want to kind of do, again, that slow return to get your heart rate and everything back to baseline, and then do those static stretches to work on the activities or the muscles that you really need to stretch. So I think what I'm going to do next is let's actually go ahead. I have a video to show you guys. Let me come back here so you can see me again. Hello. So I'm going to show you all a video that was made by, it was Dr. Deitch did the video a while back, but it kind of lends itself very, very well to this particular topic. So he is running a few athletes through the FIFA 11 warm-up. Now, it typically should take 20 minutes. This is a short video, so it's about 10 minutes or so. So what I'm going to do is show that to you. I'll screen share it to you, and then when that is finished, we'll come back and we'll do some questions if you guys have any. So let me share my screen again here. Yeah. All right. So bear with me. If something doesn't work right, please let me know. Okay. So we'll try this and share. All right. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Aiden Zolnick. Hi, I'm Will Ploppert.
And these two athletes play for the West York Bulldogs, and we're going to have them go through the FIFA 11 Plus workout for you. All right, so here we go. Hey guys, I'm Dr. John Deitch from WellSpan Sports Medicine, and today we want to show you a great active warm-up for your conditioning program. This is something that was designed about a decade ago. We have males, females, and athletes from all different sports using it. It's a double bang for your buck. It's a great active warm-up, but it also has benefits that include injury prevention. So athletes that do this program regularly have less ACL tears, less hamstring injuries, less ankle injuries, and can be on the field. So in this time where we're not able to be with our teams, this is also a warm-up that you can do on your own in only about 30 yards of distance on any flat surface that you can find. You know, normally we would use cones for these drills, but we've got some baseball hats today. They work just great, and you can do this with a partner as well, a brother or sister or a friend in your neighborhood. Just maintain those social distancing guidelines. You're going to get a great workout with this program. So for you athletes, mom and dads that are setting this grid up, what you can use is either a cone, hats, anything you can put on the ground as markers, and you're going to place them about 5 yards to 6 yards apart. You're going to use 5 of them and then step across 5 more yards and place equal markers on the opposite side. So once your course is set up, it can be done on any flat surface, grass, concrete, asphalt. Your athletes will have a course, and you can even shorten those distances if you need to at home. So gentlemen, let's start with our first. It's just a warm-up jog. And so you'll watch these guys just jog out through the whole course. No stops, and it's just a nice slow jog with a good turn at the end back to the start line. Okay. The next exercise we call hip out, or open the gate. And so what you'll see is you'll see one leg at a time, their foot come up straight forward, and the hip rotate out and the foot come down. So guys, let's go ahead and demonstrate that. What you're looking for here is that their bodies are faced forwards and the rotation is happening through their hips. And they alternate sides on each cone or each hat that they pass. And then a nice easy jog back. The third exercise of the sequence is called hip in. So it's a similar maneuver, but the foot turns out when it's on the ground, comes up, and the hip rotates in. Ready, go, guys. Nice job. And you'll see again, they alternate the leg they're using with each hat. And when they come to the end, they'll just jog back to the beginning. Excellent. The next exercise is something that gets our lower body moving in lateral directions, a little bit forward and a little bit back. This is called the circle drill, and to maintain those social distancing guidelines, we're going to have one athlete do it at a time. So you're going to jog out to the first hat, you're going to side shuffle to the opposite hat in a small circle and move to the next hat. So go ahead. Very well done. The idea here is to stay balanced, to not rush. Small movements with your feet, staying under good control. And limit that upper body movement. Good job, and jogging back. The next exercise in the sequence helps us to go quickly forward and quickly back under good balance. So what we want to do is we're going to jog out to the first hat, we're going to do a quick stop, and we're going to backpedal one distance. The second one, we go out two and then back one. Gentlemen, go. Out two, back one. And what you can see is their body is facing forward. They have a little bit of a forward lean so they don't lose their balance, and they're not wasting energy with a lot of big arm swings or movement side to side. So now these athletes have warmed up their body. They've got some movement going. So now we enter into the strength phase of the FIFA 11 Plus. So right now what you can see, both athletes are doing a plank. And they're holding it. Elbows are directly under their shoulders. Hips are off the ground. Back is as straight as possible. You hold that for 20 to 30 seconds. So this is our side plank position, otherwise known as the sideways bench. And that's a hold as well for about 20 to 30 seconds. All right, guys, can you switch sides? And we'll have you face the opposite direction. Perfect. So again, this body should be as flat as a board. We're going to bring his hips up and over. Good. Foot off the ground, holding that position. Nicely done, gentlemen. So this is exercise number 9, and this is one of the toughest ones of the bunch. So what we have is we have one partner holding the other partner. The gentleman in the front is going to slowly lower his body down and use his butt muscles and his hamstrings to slow that movement toward the floor, and then he's going to push back up and pull with those same muscle. Try to keep that back as straight as possible and no bend at the hips. And as I said, this is one of the hardest exercises to do. Leg balance. So this is important in all sports. You can use any ball. In baseball, it's important to use our gloves and be able to hold that wind-up position, balancing on the push-off leg. So guys, I'm going to have you go ahead and get in that position. You're down there, looks like you'd be ready to throw. And you're going to hold that position for 30 seconds. Both are doing a great job with that. Go ahead and come down. And now what might be harder and feel pretty unnatural in baseball is to do that same motion on your opposite foot. So let's work on that opposite foot. These guys are doing a great job. If you have to correct, it's okay. As you practice, you'll get better and better. The next exercise in our sequence are squats with toe raises. So you'll get your feet about shoulder width apart. You're gonna have a good posture, chest out. You're gonna sit your hips back and you're gonna squat. But when you squat, you're gonna go down and then you're gonna push up on your toes. Go ahead and demonstrate that. So this is called a squat with a toe raise. You'll do 10 repetitions of those. Excellent work. Now that you're used to that squat movement, we're going to work on some explosiveness and some jumping. So it's the same position, feet about shoulder width apart, hands on your hips. You're going to squat down and then you're going to jump up, but you're going to land soft. Okay? Think about landing soft. Allow your knees to bend and absorb the force when you land. And 10 repetitions of those. So for the last 3 exercises of FIFA 11 Plus, it's the running exercise, and we'll spend about 2 minutes doing this. So the first one is just a run across the grass or run across the course. So we're going to be ready to sprint now. Our bodies are going to be ready to do more explosive movements. So gentlemen, go ahead, sprint down, sprint back. They have good running form, good balance, good straight line movement patterns. So the next one is going to be what we call an A skip. And this allows you to get a little bit more explosiveness, come up off the ground a little bit, and you'll watch them do this as well. It's sort of 2 taps on one foot before you switch to the next with a high knee. So here we go. Ready, A skip. Good, you can get the arms involved. Yep. And that's an exercise that takes practice, and once you get the rhythm, you actually do it pretty well. The last one is called bounding. So that's a left-right, long stride with explosion off the ground. So guys, let's try the bounding. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Good job. And the final exercise is really important in all sports, and that's being able to change direction and cut and go in a different direction. So these guys are going to do a zigzag one at a time through the course, and that will finish out our FIFA 11 Plus program. Ready, go. And cut. And cut. And cut. Great work. So these guys have done a really nice job today. They ran through this course one time before doing it on camera. And what that has shown us is this is teachable to almost all age groups and all levels of athletes. It will have benefits for your 9-year-olds and your professionals and everybody in between.
All right, so that was the FIFA 11. The other thing I didn't mention about that program is it seems like there's a lot of stuff, a lot to learn, a lot to go through, but to be completely honest with you, it's super easy, super simple. You go online and just Google the FIFA 11 Plus. all kinds of things will come up. There's actually FIFA Medical Network has a wonderful website as well. And the easiest thing to do is to print off a chart, which is probably going to be one of the first things that pops up when you Google it. And you can just take it to practice with you. And you can stand there with your chart on your clipboard and run the kids through the warm up. And then once you get it and they get it, it's super easy and it just sort of becomes part of the practice. So that is all I have for you guys. I hope it was helpful, and questions. Okay, easy enough.
Lauren, I'll ask you one question.
Sure.
With it being titled a FIFA program, I know in the video, Dr. Deitch did address that it is helpful for all sports and all ages. Can you elaborate on that anymore?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely something where that the athletes, you know, across all ages, these are kind of movements that they all need to be able to do and that are going to be really important for good performance in the sport. It was based out of a lot of a soccer program and a lot of soccer research, but really the original program has like the athlete holding a soccer ball and doing some things with that. But as you could see, you know, they changed it to where they're holding their gloves, or a basketball player, you know, holding their basketball while they're doing it. And most of these activities and exercises are pretty basic for most sports. So don't let the fact that it's a soccer-based program, or, you know, when you look at a lot of the stuff online about it, they call it, of course, football, because it was kind of developed in you know, over in Europe, where they call, of course, soccer football. So don't be concerned that it's a soccer-based program. You can tailor it to your specific sport or to your specific team. You can, you know, if you want to add a few things into the program that's going to be more beneficial to your sports or athletes, I think that's fantastic. Like for instance, for field hockey players, because that's kind of my sport. Have them do some of those drills with their hockey sticks in their hands, so they're kind of going through some more functional things that can be adapted pretty easily and readily.
Good. Let me see. I don't see any other questions, Lauren. So
Okay.
I just want to thank you for your time, your dedication for putting this PowerPoint presentation together for us, and certainly your knowledge and expertise behind it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. It was fun.
Good. Thank you. And for all the coaches that did join us today, thank you also for your time. We hope that you picked at least one concept out of what we presented to you today and are able to implement it into what you do as a coach for your athletes. So our schedule has been pretty consistent for the weeks to follow. Today's a Tuesday. We did the coaches clinic. On Wednesday, we'll do a total body workout, and then Friday is going to be the focus workout, and then we'll roll into the next week with Mondays being our athlete education. So we hope that you can all join us in the future too. Our next week, the topic is going to be on posture and breathing. So any questions, you know, certainly feel free to reach out to us in the meantime, and hopefully you can find the workouts online and continue to keep up with those and be active, be safe, and stay healthy. So thank you, everybody. Have a great day.